said stop and unsubscribe, so now you don't get them anyway, so that's too bad for you. So we sent out a little teaser, just some solar stats that David's going to be talking about. We know that it is becoming more and more of a hot topic. It goes with, get it? See what I did there? So hopefully you guys have some good questions. David's going to give us all the info he's got with a little bit of video as well, and then we'll save some time at the end for Q&A. Perfect. Okay. So without further, also don't be shy to come on up and get more food as David's talking. Okay. So without further ado, here's David.
And come close because I'm giving out some goodies today.
All right, there you go.
So.
With Powur. Thank you, David. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.
It's a great question.
Well, after the video is in a minute, and then if I want to go through the slides, I just hit left or right.
Yeah, I just need to switch the.
Got it. So yeah, we'll play the video. Hello, everybody. Okay, I think this is everybody.
More people will trickle in. Just
More people. Okay, great. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Hope you all had a great Labor Day weekend. Thank you all for being here. I'm your solar energy vendor for this office. So anything solar energy related, batteries, solar power for the roof of the house, I'm your guy. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about what's been happening with the utility industries. I'm sure most of you who have a house, you've been experiencing rate hikes and rate increases. I think Southern California Edison just had a 15% increase this year, and they're going to continue to do so for the next 2 years. Glendale Water and Power, I think, had an 11% increase January, and they're going to do another increase next year in 2025. So utility rates have been going nowhere but up, and basically with solar power, you're able to produce your own energy and make your bill inflation proof. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. Let's see if I could play this video. I don't know, Robert, maybe with this mouse. So this video is basically talking about, wait, where's the mouse? I don't see it moving here. I press play. Oh, there we go. So this video is talking about PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric, how they keep raising their rates to give themselves bigger salaries. Who likes that, right? CEO gets another $20 million a year, and they make the customers, us, you, we pay for it. So this is just a little 2-minute video, just kind of talking about energy price hikes that have been happening. So I just want to kind of let you guys watch this. Be a remote. So Pacific Gas and Electric.
Not just in salaries, but also in perks that apparently come with these jobs. And this, while folks across the Sacramento area struggled to pay their skyrocketing gas bills just this past winter. The PG&E rate hikes were felt by hundreds in the Sacramento area this winter.
I know we have to pay for our services, but it just seems outrageous.
Some bills doubled, some tripled,
So this is energy, electricity.
They wouldn't even be able to pay.
I'm scared.
But fear has turned to fury after company filings show top PG&E executives raked in big bucks in 2016. One of those, PG&E's current CEO, Yesha Williams. But even before her promotion, she earned $4.2 million last year in salary and perks.
And they paid for it.
Minnie Spadden with the consumer advocacy group, Term, says some of the compensation is funded through shareholders, but most of it falls on customers.
Even if PG&E was a really good company, these salaries would be excessive.
Williams isn't the only one benefiting. Outgoing CEO Anthony Early earned nearly $12 million in compensation, which included a 9% pay raise. And PG&E President of Gas Operations Nick Stavropoulos taking in nearly $4 million with a similar raise. And on top of her salary, Williams also received $20,000 in transportation services. And get this, $8,000.
All right, I've seen enough. This is, So basically they raise their utility rates so they can get a higher salary, and they make their customers pay for it. And this is basically what's been happening with utility companies all around. They're in the business of making money, so what happens is they monopolized the energy industry. So they're basically saying you have no choice but to buy electricity from us, and we're gonna raise the price every year because we can. And there's nothing you could do about it except solar. So solar energy, you put solar panels on your roof, and you harness power from the sun. So the sun shines into the panels, onto your roof, and it powers your home. So basically you become your own sort of electricity company instead of relying on the utility. So I'm gonna talk about that today. I'm gonna talk about how solar loans work with the house if you're doing a buying or selling transaction, and there might be a solar loan that you might need to learn how to navigate around. So I'll help you with that as well. So basically I'm with my company's called Powur. We were founded in 2014. We're national in about 27 states. We just added DC, I think, and Virginia. So, we're really big. We have to date about 32,000 installs. We've done, like I said, 32,000 plus jobs. Inc. 5000 magazine, one of the top fastest growing companies 4 years in a row. And we're 100% carbon neutral. So we're a company that's pretty much virtual. We're also with the Better Business Bureau, and we always give back to charitable contributions. We're currently building homes in Mexico, and from each transaction we give a little money to preserve the Amazon rainforest. So just a little bit about us. Let's see if I could make it right here. Bless you.
Excuse me, thank you, sorry.
Bless you. There we go. So basically what you get with us is just a little history about us. So we're a very wide company, so we have access to multiple panels, we have access to multiple battery options, multiple financing options, so it's not a cookie cutter sort of system for everybody. Every customer has different needs. So whatever your customers' needs are, whether they want a low monthly payment, whether they want to pay it off cash, purchase, lease, we have those options to offer. We use local labor partners, so which means whatever community you're in, we use installers from that community that are partnered with us. So we keep the work within the area. So we're not, outsourcing from, different states and different cities. We try to keep everything local. We have one of the largest warranties in the industry to offer for solar customers, 30-year bumper-to-bumper warranty, which covers labor, parts, doesn't have a deductible, and if that homeowner decides to sell the house, it's 100% transferable. So the new purchaser of the house gets that warranty, 30 years, covers everything. Let's see. So this just talks about our 30-year warranty. Basically, your customer or whoever is getting a solar system, they won't have to spend any more money out of pocket. Let's say if they need some servicing or maintenance or panels replaced, everything's covered under Powur Care warranty. Most other companies only offer manufacturer warranty, which only covers production, right? So imagine if you buy a Mercedes from Keys, Mercedes and Van Nuys, but they say your warranty is only covered through Mercedes headquarters in Germany. So if you have any issues, call them, right? So in this case, we take care of everything. Powur Care is a third-party company, which means we put money into it every month, and it's a separate entity. So even if, let's say, doomsday comes and we happen to close our doors, which is very unlikely, Powur Care is still solvent, and it's backed by Zurich and Lloyd's of London. So that warranty is going to stick with you for the next couple of decades to make sure you're taken care of. If you draw your attention to the screen, I also gave some example prints of a before and after. This is LADWP. A customer, if you see, this is from 2023. from about December to February. This is like the February 2023 bill. If you look at the papers I gave you, so this right here, this 1203, that was their electric charges from August to October. So that was 2 months worth of electric bills. Okay, and then post solar. So even if you get solar, you're still going to be connected to the grid, and they charge you a minimum fee of like $12 a month just to stay connected. So that's kind of non-negotiable. So if you look at their new bill with LEDWP for 2 months, it's about $24, and that's just their interconnection fee. That fee you have to pay no matter what. You could have enough solar to cover Washington, but you're still gonna have to pay that because that's saying, hey, you're still kind of plugged into the grid, so we're gonna charge you a plug fee. So this is their post solar bill, $24, just connection fee. So we help them eliminate their utility bill, and basically with solar, they're gonna be fixed. So this payment, I believe, was around $400 a month, or $380 a month, I think. So not only did they save hundreds of dollars a month, but that solar bill, the new one, it's inflation proof. It's gonna be fixed for 25 years. It's never gonna go up. You're locked in. So LADWP can raise their rates every year after that. That $1,200 bill, by let's say 2030, another 6 years could have been $1,600 or $1,800 just from the increase every year, right? So just to give you all an example of what that looks like. Basically the purpose of it is not just save money, it's get rid of that pesky utility bill and make sure you're not being charged in peak hours, and if you turn your lights on at between 4 to 9 p.m. we're going to charge you extra, right? Any questions so far? I know I'm kind of talking a lot. Anybody have anything on their mind you want to
So I have a question.
Yes.
With solar, are you able to store it?
You are. That's where batteries come in.
Okay.
So batteries have two purposes. A, it's for home backup. So let's say you want to prepare for doomsday, right? If everything shuts down, the blackouts, it's the end of the world. Solar batteries will give you power for your house.
Okay.
Or if somebody who lives in, Bakersfield, maybe they live in the mountains and it's they have a lot of blackouts. It gives you power during a blackout. And then the second purpose is whatever extra solar energy you produce goes to your battery to power your home, so you don't have any charges with the utility company like Southern California Edison, right? So basically it has two purposes. It's transferring it for a reserve or powering your home when the grid goes off.
Okay.
Yes?
Is there a way to monitor that? Is there a panel that the homeowner can see how it's saving energy?
Yeah. So anytime you go solar, you get an app which is from your inverter. It's either going to be Enphase or Solar Edge. This is Solar Edge, this company. They're one of the top inverter and battery companies on the market. Who likes socks? Okay.
Oh.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah, keep your feet warm. They look kind of cold. So basically you get an app that is connected to your entire system. So it tells you how much you're producing throughout the day. So every hour it says this is what you're producing, this is what you're using, gives you a monitoring capability of every single panel. So it basically it's the brain, right? And you get access to that once you get solar. So then you just download the app, and everything is tracked on the app through your phone. So
So
yes,
you don't
Laura.
receive credits?
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
Like you don't receive credits?
You do. So for instance, with
Let's say
LADWP,
one month you spend a lot of electricity, so you have extra
yeah.
savings.
So it's similar to rollover minutes. Who of us remember rollover minutes when you had a cell phone and you had like 1,000 minutes a month, and whatever you didn't use goes to the next month? So it's the same concept with energy. So whatever you produce excess that you don't use turns into a credit, right? So they say, hey, you have, $200 worth of electricity credits, right? So let's say 1 month you happen to use more than what your solar's producing. Instead of them charging you, they'll just offset it from the credits you've built up, right? The best analogy is a rollover minute. So Anything excess you produce goes to the grid, and they store it for you and say, hey, you have all these credits here. Whenever you need them, they're here, right? Because the utility company sells those credits to customers to make money. So then they tell you like, hey, we sold your credits and we got paid, so now you have a credit with us, so you don't need to pay us for this much that you've given us, right? If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Well, who do they sell it to?
Customers.
Like Southern California?
Yeah, like you, me, anybody that lives here that, so let's say LADWP, right? Granada Hills, Los Angeles area, whoever is using electricity, they could sell it to them, just like they, you have a utility bill, right?
Right.
Where do you live?
Altadena?
You're Edison.
Edison.
Okay, so you pay for utility rates, right?
Yeah.
So imagine if Edison gets credits from me for my solar, and then they sell it to you. That's the same concept. So they sell it and make money, but then you receive the credit.
Right.
Yeah. But Southern California Edison right now, their credit rates are not the best. That's why you need batteries. So LADWP is still good. They're still NEM 2.0, which means you get 1-for-1 credit. Southern California Edison, you get like 25 cents to $1. And you know why? Because they could. They paid $120 million to get this passed so they can make more money off people, because they're like, hey, why are we storing all this energy for free and we're just giving people so much credit? Let's charge them. So they put so many fees and like charges on there. So you give them 100 kilowatt hours of energy, you get back 25 or 20 if that. So, that's why we're trying to help people. So, does that make sense? Okay, cool.
So you have a 30 years warranty? You said how many?
30 years.
30 years
Yeah.
warranty. What does this cover?
Parts, labor, zero deductible, zero out-of-pocket costs. It covers inverters, covers the panels, covers labor, which is really important because most other companies, they only offer manufacturer production warranty. So that means if something happens, the customer has to pay out of their pocket to get, a technician to come out from, I don't know, Idaho or something. But with us, we cover everything through our company, so we will have somebody out there the same week,
Even the panel, broken panel?
Yeah. I mean, unless you go up there and break it yourself and say, I'm so mad, I'm saving all this money, I'm angry, then we can't, because that's purposely, but yeah, anything breaks, if it malfunctions or anything like that, it's everything's covered on that.
But you mean that the panel can last 30 years?
More.
More than
More.
30 years. So
They
that's why
last, they last 40 plus years, but after a certain time, the efficiency goes down a little bit. So maybe like 1% or 2 here and there, but they're still gonna work. But they're not gonna work, for instance, you might have an iPhone 11, it still works, you can still make calls, it's still great, right? But it's iPhone 15 just came out, right? So who has an iPhone 11 back there? They're like laughing. I'm not making funny.
No, my dad still has like the button one.
The button one? Yeah. See, it still works, right? You can still, but then technology, it's like now we have like iPhone 16 and this, so.
So you said it doesn't tell us that was in 5 years time, it just is like.
So every year it goes down like 0.1%. Like 0.0, like a tenth of a percent, right? So let's say if it's at 98% efficiency, after 10 years it'll be 97, right? So it goes down like a tenth of a percent, and after 30 years they're still gonna work, but it's not gonna be working as efficient as when you first got it, Kind of like you get a brand new car, you put 100,000 miles, it still works, but it's not as good as when you get a brand new car, right? So that's the beauty of it. They're gonna last decades. And imagine if you get a solar system that lasts a couple of decades and your payment's fixed. So you're not gonna have a high payment for the next couple of decades. And even if you sell your house, the new person who purchases your house is gonna take that over. So it's a win-win for everybody. Thank you. You guys are asking really great questions.
So have you talked about the contracts, how they work?
This is for you. It's just a magnet. You're asking great questions. Thank you. Oh, you too. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
So I know y'all might have questions about the solar contracts, I'm sure, right? How many of us in this room, your realtors, have done a transaction with a solar loan on it? Okay. Okay, couple of you. I know it's been a kind of, right, holding up escrow and stuff like that. Solar loans? He's like, okay, so solar loans are getting better, and they're going to continue getting better moving forward. So solar loans from 10 years ago are a little bit crappy, pardon my French. Starting now moving forward, they're getting a little more simplified. They're getting easier and they're getting shorter. So it's gonna be a lot easier moving forward for you to do transactions. It's difficult from many years ago because most of these companies closed their doors, like Solar City got bought out by Tesla and all this stuff, and Powur just went out of business. They filed for bankruptcy. So moving forward, it's gonna get a lot easier. So here's what happens with solar loans, right? Seller's agents,
Sellers.
just 3, okay.
What do you mean?
So seller's agent. So if you're selling a house that has solar on it, the most ideal situation, the most ideal for you and your client is to get the new buyer to take over the payments, right? If you're a buyer's agent, vice versa, the most ideal would be to get the seller to pay for it. Now, all this comes down to is negotiation, right? Because the buyer's gonna say, well, I want you to pay for it, and the seller's gonna say, no, you take over, I'm not paying anything for you, right? So it comes down to negotiation, right? So either A, the seller could have the system paid off through escrow at the back end. So let's say if you're gonna sell a house for, I don't know, $1 million, average solar system costs anywhere from 20 to 40K. So you could sell the house for $1,030,000, right? So the seller gets that money back from escrow, and they could just tell the buyer, hey, we're gonna take care of that for you. You're gonna get a paid off solar system, right? So this gives, it's more enticing for the buyer because they're saying, wow, I'm getting a paid off solar system that's included in my sales price. That's pretty awesome. But you're not saying it in the listing. You're not saying I'm charging an extra 30K for the solar, right? You're just saying it's included. Does that make sense?
But that also depends on how long have the solar system been in the house, because after, like, let's say the solar system have been there for 10 years, you have to, consider depreciation of that.
Yeah, so it's always based on market value. So you're not gonna be charged
How do we know what is the market value of
the solar loan company will say what the market value is worth. So let's say if you've been making payments for 10 years,
Yeah,
you're gonna deduct those payments from the overall cash price, right?
yeah.
So the same thing if you buy a brand new car today for $50,000, 5 years later it might be worth $30,000, right? You're not gonna pay $50,000 for a 5-year-old car at sticker value. So it's the same concept.
Well, also it's just deducting the payments, it doesn't go with it, okay.
Yeah, it deducts the payments, and it also goes based off the market value. So because let's say 10 years later some brand new panels come out, the top of the line, that existing solar system might be worth less, so it's better because they don't have to pay too much out of pocket. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's basically what it comes down to. It's a negotiation. The most ideal that I found is the seller just puts the price of the solar panel system into the sale price of the house and just tells the new buyer, hey, it's taken care of, you're good, you're getting it paid off system, you're not gonna have a utility bill, right? Now sometimes they might be a little picky if there's like a lease, if there's a monthly payment, the loan company might say the buyer has to take over, or you need to pay us the full remaining amount before we do the transfer. So I know some of you may run into that. I can help you sort of figure out how to navigate that, how to read a solar contract, what the solar loan entails, if it's a lease or a buy. But in any case.
So.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So you have, so you can have a lease or a buy, but a buy with also.
Or cash.
Or cash, so somebody pays cash and then they own a tree and thing.
Yeah.
The other one is the lease, but you get a loan too.
Yeah.
And the other one is a buy and you get a loan.
Yeah, so you could do a purchase finance, a lease finance, or just a cash purchase.
Oh.
Yeah, cash purchase is the best because you're not paying, interest and dealer fees. I had plenty of clients pay cash and they're like, I don't want to have a payment, let me just write you the check. And they pay it off and they're good. They don't have a bill, nothing. They're locked in.
So how do we know, so the solar company will tell us if it's a lease?
Yeah, whoever has the solar loan. So let's say it's Sunnova. Sunnova is one of the top finance companies. So they'll tell you, okay, you owe, this many payments, or this is the amount that's owed. And they'll kind of help you find that out. So you could always get that from them.
But if it's a lease, at the end of so many years, is owned by.
Yeah. So after the lease term is up, you have the option. You could buy the system for $1, or you could throw it in the trash, because after the lease is up, the company doesn't want the panels back anymore, because they're like, what are we gonna do with it? They're 20 years old. We don't want these old. You see what I'm saying? But our companies that we work with, they have lease options where you could buy it after year 5. So you could do a lease and have a low monthly payment, and then after 5 years, you could just pay it off and just own it downright. So. Yes, John?
I don't know if you talked about this already, but so say you paid off the solar system, it's on the home, it comes with the property. Is there a way to, like, when new technology comes out, to upgrade those panels to
No.
to get more efficient? No.
Because it's like, the best analogy I use is like a car, right?
Okay.
Let's say if I buy a 2024 Mercedes, and then next year 2025 comes out, I'm like, hey, I want to trade it in. They're like, well, you got a 3-year lease, my friend. You gotta. So it's the same concept. You can't really switch it out for newer technology in the middle of it. And there's really no reason to do that, because the panels are still going to be working great. I mean, they're very efficient, so they're going to last 40 plus years. Now, I don't know if they're going to come out with some new magic technology where you put a little chip on your house and it produces. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure the people in this room were a very diverse group from different ages and backgrounds. There was a time where, no, I mean, look, there was a time, did some people think we could have this device in our pocket and FaceTime each other and, take videos? No, right? I mean, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I've been around for over 30 years, so we didn't, you see what I'm saying? We don't know. I mean, technology, it's, every year something comes out, right? So it's one of those things. But the panels that we have today, they're probably one of the top 3 in the when I'm stuttering, in the world.
Where does panels come from? Where are they manufactured?
So we use most of the ones we use are Q-Cell. They're manufactured in Georgia, here in the U.S. They just spent $2.8 billion to build a giant facility to continue making more panels. They are the #1 panel manufacturer in the United States. We also use Rec Alphas. They're made in Singapore. They're probably top 2 in the world as far as efficiency and productivity and quality. And then we also have some panels that I wouldn't recommend. They're just a little, lower tier kind. If somebody says, I don't care about the quality, I just want, the cheapest price, we have that option as well. But we tend to use good quality products. And
that's
Q-Cell and the Rec, it's REC, Rec Alphas. Yeah. And one thing I'm very proud of is we have multiple finance partners. So we can find different products, different options that work for the customer, right? Whether it's a low monthly payment, they want to, pay it off in 10 years, they want to have the lowest interest or 0 dealer fees, right? We have so many options, whereas other companies only have one option, one panel, one finance company. So we're more like a broker in a way, right? So every customer is different. Depending on what their needs are, I know which direction to sort of go.
What about the panels that are manufactured in China?
Yeah, we have those too. They're called Jinko.
Jinko.
Sunrun offers those. Who likes Sunrun?
Sunrun?
Nobody.
Is that the one that closed its doors, or is it still operating?
That was SunPower.
Oh, okay.
Sunrun is still operating, unfortunately. Their customers are calling us, help! Help!
So my experience was interesting.
Yeah.
The last house with solar.
Mm-hmm.
We started off. I was under the impression that it would show up in title.
Mm-hmm.
She has 2 homes, She paid for both, she hadn't paid it off yet. And so she had wanted the buyer to assume the transfer, but when we went and looked, it wasn't even attached to the house.
It's not.
It's attached to her other property, so then she had to pay for both, and then thankfully we had multiple offers, and so we had a very.
Yeah, you had the upper hand, yeah.
But at the same time, it was really confusing, and then I think it was one of those, companies you said that closed the stores, but it was chasing down for information. So for your company, like when you have an owner who wants to put solar on 2 properties, how do you distinguish that in your contract?
So, whatever property has its own meter, it counts as a separate system. So if you have a main house and an ADU that's detached with a separate meter, each separate meter has to have its own solar system. And if it has a separate meter, it has a separate address. The only time it'll be together is if it's an attached property, right? Like a garage conversion or something like that. But I have a client who just built an ADU and it's a separate address. So it's like 2060 and then 2060 and a half or something like that, right? So 2 different properties, 2 different structures, 2 different meters. So even if you look at their bill with LADWP, it's in Panorama City, so it's LADWP. The meter numbers are separate and different. So they get 2 separate bills because it counts as 2 separate houses. Does that make sense?
So you're saying your house in a vacuum unit, but you would never put the same number on 2 different properties and 2 different.
If it has 2 separate meters, no, but it all comes down to the electrician, right? Because you could request 2 meters from the city, but it's based off what the city says. If they say this counts as a separate structure, we need to give it a separate meter, they're gonna count it as its own address, right? Some people might build it and say, well, it's a guest house, it's my property, right? I don't want there to be 2 separate entities. That can also be possible, but the city is the one who makes the decision, right? The utility company, the city of LA, that's not in our hands. They basically tell us, like the inspector says, okay, new meter, new structure, this is separate. I know it gets a little confusing when you get into the details of it. What was I gonna say? I was gonna say something.
I just want to know what the contract looks like. So on your contract, when you do the contract, it'll be separate numbers, is what you're saying. It'll be very clear.
Yeah, basically, so I'm doing a project right now that has an ADU as well, so it's 2 separate systems. He's gonna have 2 separate payments. So one is this property, one is this property, and they're on the same lot, but they have different addresses. So, you know, 2 different contracts, 2 different, because it counts as 2 separate houses, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't put solar on one property and then put it, 3 miles down the road and say it's one because they're not connected.
Let that happen though.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's some of the, that's why Powur went out of business. They were claiming to be the best solar company in the world and in the universe, and they filed for. And their customers are calling us and saying, "What do I do? What do I do?" And we can't really do anything until they finally dissolve, because they filed for bankruptcy, but they're still kind of in existence. So as soon as they dissolve, then we can kind of say, okay, we can come out there and look at your panels, and if there's any issue, we'll see what's going on, type of thing. I was gonna say something, but I forgot. It's gonna come back to me. Something about payments and taking over. You said.
The lien was on her house,
The lien,
not
yeah.
on the house that we were selling. So
That's what I remember.
when the buyers were like, okay, we're up for paying for it, we couldn't find it. That's
Yeah.
why it was confusing.
So that brought to my memory. So contrary to popular belief, solar does not put a lien on the house. Okay, does not put a lien on that. It's a fixture filing. Okay, so that means if you stop paying your payment, they're just gonna come take the panels off the roof, right? They're gonna repo. So if you hear footsteps on your roof, it's not Santa Claus. They came to take your solar panels away, right? But there's no lien on the house, so it's not gonna show up as a lien and title. It's a fixture filing. So it's just a kind of like a fixture filing on equipment, right? So if the customer stops making payments and they're behind or they're past due, it's we've tried reaching them, they're not answering. It's been a year. They'll just come take the panels off.
But as the buyer's agent, you'd want to make sure that that's paid and you have documentation.
Well, yeah, to make sure they're current, right? It's like, oh, surprise, you have 2 years back pay. Right, that's all gonna be in the solar contract. So it's a simple phone call or an email. You call the solar loan company, and you give them the address, say we're doing a transfer of ownership, and we want to get a balance to date or payment, you know, and they'll send everything over. It's getting very simple, guys. It's, you know, these solar loan companies, I mean, I work with them directly. Everything's getting a lot easier to communicate and just be more visible. 10 years ago, it wasn't the best. It was very crappy, pardon my French. You know, just old way of doing business. Now it's getting a lot better. Yes?
So these solar loan companies are companies that you guys refer to the client, or the client can just.
That is correct.
Yeah.
The client, you as a client can go to your bank and get the loan.
Get a loan.
Yeah. Think of it like a mortgage
Or
broker.
equity line,
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Think like a mortgage broker, right? You have a first-time buyer, maybe they need a loan. I'm a loan. Let's say I'm a mortgage lender. I'm a broker. Okay, I got this option, this option, this option, this option, this rate, right? You could do that as my client, or you could say, you know what? My cousin works at Wells Fargo. He's gonna give me a loan and give me the family discount, and I'll just go through him. Perfect. You don't have to choose my loan option, my finance option, because it doesn't make a difference for me. I don't make any more money, I don't make any less money. It's, you know, totally. You could go to your bank and credit union and say, you know what? I want a $30,000 loan because I'm gonna pay off my solar system. You could do that and just pay cash and then pay the monthly to your loan at whatever interest they give you. So it's totally in your hands, whatever financing option you choose.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Did I give you one of these?
No, you didn't.
You're asking, I love the questions you're asking. Here, this is for you. What's your name?
Lisette.
Lisette. David, nice to meet you.
Wow, that's something.
Yes.
Are there any tax benefits for installing solar?
Yes. I was actually gonna get to, I love the question answer dynamic. So one of the biggest benefits, 30% federal tax credit, right? Whatever your price of your solar system is, you get 30% from the federal side, whether it's a write-off or you get money back if you're owed. This is in effect until 2032. So you have 8 years, well, 7, we're almost.
Is that lump sum?
Yeah.
Just one check?
One check, but it depends on the liability, right? So let's say I'm gonna use a big round number, right? Let's say 100,000, I'm just using.
For what, I thought you said it was like 30.
I know, I'm just using a big, I've done a $100,000 solar system in Tarzana.
Oh, on a corporate building?
No, a house in Tarzana. Giant mansion house with a pool, guest, I mean, it was mega. Yeah, and this is very rare. The average solar system is about 20 to 30K.
This was 30K, so.
Okay, let's see.
30K system.
Let's see.
30%,
I don't need a calculator, right? So 30K, right? Let's say the average house, you get a 30K solar system, 30% of that is 9,000. You get 9,000, let's say if you owe on the federal side, you owe $15,000, 9,000 will get written off, so you only owe 6.
In 1 year.
You have 5 years to capture
Can you take it
that.
in 1 year?
I'm sorry?
Can you take it?
You can
all
take
in
it,
1
yeah,
year?
you could take it all in 1 year if you want. You could spread it over 3 years. It's totally up to you. But it's in effect until 2032. That's the renewable something bill they just passed. Renewable energy something bill. So after 2032, that's no longer in effect. Yes, Laura.
I have a question about
Yes.
what you spoke about, the buyer agent who has a contract, it's not 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that something that anyone can call you to find out before
Yeah.
escrow, do you prove that you're in escrow and having that transfer title?
Yeah. She's asking what happens if you have a buyer's agent and you're purchasing a house that might have a solar bill, and just to make sure they're up to date. So you can call me, I can help you with that, or I can just help you to find out who to call. For instance, let's say the solar loan is with Sunnova or SunGage. You give them a call and you say, I'm calling on behalf of, the client address, we're doing a transfer of ownership for the house. We just wanna get a statement showing what the payoff balance is and make sure they're current and all that stuff, and they'll go ahead and email that to you, and you'll have a sort of record just to show hey, they're current on their payments, they have 25 payments remaining or whatever that case is, and I can sort of help you figure out who to call. Mostly it's going to be like Sunnova, SunGage, some of these loan companies that do the financing, so it's in their hands. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Just to clarify, she was saying if she's not in escrow yet, so she's calling before it hits the
That's
market,
fine.
and you would help her before it's in escrow.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're an escrow or not, you're just reaching out to the company. Now, it might have to be done by the seller because it's their own private information, because I could be any Joe Schmo and call and say, hi, I need Sally's information. They're gonna be like, who the heck are you, right? So the seller could call and say, hey, I want to request like a statement sheet, and they basically get sent, okay, how many payments you have remaining, what your payoff balance is, make sure you're current so you don't have back pay. So you could get all that done with a simple phone call or an email, and I could sort of help point you in the right direction as well. Yeah. Any other questions in the meantime? Yes, Ken.
So you say in here, achieve energy independence, lower utility costs by up to 50% or more.
Yes.
So that means I'm still gonna pay 50% of my utility.
No, you're not gonna pay 50% of your utility bill, but the payment for your solar is gonna be 50% less than what your payment to the utility would be. Does that make sense?
No.
So let's say this is your utility bill.
Okay.
It's $1,000 a month, right? No more. This is $500 a month.
So the solar panels are gonna produce enough energy where I
To
will
cover
not
it.
have a bill.
Exactly. That's the point, is we want to give you enough and a little bit more. So what we do is we go 100% and then maybe a little bit more to give you a cushion, right? So if you're using, I'm gonna ask a question. Let's see who can answer this. I'm gonna give away a nice gift. Can anybody guess the average annual kilowatt hours used by the average household? Per year. Average kilowatt hours per year. 15,000? Anybody else?
14,999.
The price is right! Come on down. 20, 15, 14, 16. 10, anybody else?
10 acres to a
Going once, going twice. 10 is correct. It's a portable solar charger. If you go to the beach or camping, you can charge your phone with the power of the sun. That's your TikTok? David, nice one. So the average house, I'm talking average like a standard, home, 10,000 kilowatt hours a year. Now, let's say if I'm doing solar for you, I'll give you 13,000 a year with the solar, right? So I'm covering your 10K that you use regularly, and I'm giving you 3K extra per year, just in case. Maybe you might want to crank the AC up in the summer so you're, not sweating. And
Does that go to the batteries?
so
Access, or do you sell it back?
So it depends. If you're with LADWP, it goes to the grid because you're still net metering 2. If you're with Southern California Edison, you're net metering 3, which means very bad. You need batteries so that excess energy could go to the battery, and then the battery powers your home. Does that make sense? Because Edison, if you send energy to the grid, they're gonna say, thank you, give me more. And they're gonna give you pennies to the dollar back. But if you're with LADWP, you're still net 2. Whatever you give them, you're getting 1-to-1 credit. So whoever has LADWP, act now, because if they change their, April last year, 2023 was when Edison changed the guidelines. They went from NEM 2 to NEM 3, which means whatever you give them energy, they're gonna give you 25% of it back. But LADWP is still NEM 2 for now. We don't know if it's gonna change tomorrow, next year, next month.
But when you say you're gonna give, they consume 10 kilowatts, or whatever you call it.
10,000.
10,000. So and you're gonna give them 13.
Mhm.
So you wanna increase it by putting more panels? Is that how it works?
Just enough panels to give them 13,000. Yeah.
So the panels is what they.
Yeah. So whatever I give panels on the roof to cover the 10K, let's say I add, 4 or 5 more panels and it goes to 13K. Now I'm covering your usage, and I'm also giving you a little bit extra because, maybe you have family visiting, maybe you're charging your car or something, So we want to make sure we give you more than to give you less and make you have a bill with the utility. The whole point is, guys, we're trying to make sure as much as possible to eliminate you having to pay anything to the utility company. That's the purpose of it. We want to make sure we give you enough to cover your usage, so you don't have to pay to Edison or LADWP. That's the whole point. Does that make sense? Yeah. Any other questions in the meantime?
You put it in the sun.
No? What? So another very important point that I want to talk about is how solar increases the value of a home. So there was a recent 2024 Zillow study that showed that homes with solar increased the value about 6.8%. So do the math. If it's $1 million house, it's about 68K in additional value for the home. So you're building equity on the house.
You did say Zillow, right?
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, I'm gonna research it. National Renewable Energy Laboratory, the NREL, they did another survey of homes. They found that homes with solar sold 20% faster than non-solar homes, and for 17% more of the non-solar homes. So it sold for more and it sold faster. Rocket Homes research data, homes sold in 2021. Any homes that were sold mentioning solar power sold 13% faster and 24.7% more likely to sell above asking price, right? So in addition to the benefit of the 30% tax credit, you're also raising the value of your home, whether it's for you or your client. Their home's gonna sell faster, it's probably gonna sell above asking price compared to non-solar homes. Building equity instantly on day one. As soon as the panels go up, your equity boosts right away. And yeah, inflation proofing your bill, like I said, that's the most important. It's to make sure your bill is locked in, fixed. Kind of like a 30-year fixed loan, right? 25-year, 20, whatever loan option you choose. It's to make sure you're not gonna have these fluctuating high utility bills, yes.
What's the weight on the solar panels, and do you have like a limit for, not putting excessive solar panels on a house, because it obviously impacts the structure, the roof. When the report came back from the inspection company, the inspector said it was weighing on the roof. So how are the Solar Heroes, panels in their weight?
Good question. So we use racking systems. So the solar is, the panels are put in a way on the roof on a racking system where it's gonna be the most efficient. Now we have solar systems where the entire roof could be covered in panels and it doesn't really cause issues. The only issue is if it's like people walking on the roof too much, or if there's, something falls on there. But solar panels can last years on the roof without any damage, and our Powur Care warranty covers roof penetration as well. So let's say if there's a leak in the roof where we put a panel or anything like that, that's covered under the warranty as well. There's no limit to how many panels you can put, because I've seen homes that just max out. They cover the entire roof with panels, so it's just black on black, kind of the screens and stuff. I've never ran into any issues with that. Now it might be one thing if the roof was already old to begin with. If it was like a 20-year-old roof that's almost fallen apart and they put solar on it, that's a mistake. It was a new roof. That comes down to whoever did the job. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's a construction job. At the end of the day, not everything goes perfect. Some people know what they're doing. Some people don't. So, it comes down to the installer.
Sometimes the inspector is being extra careful and mentioning something because,
Yeah.
Can put on any kind of roof or tower?
Not any kind of roof.
Like the tower gonna be too difficult.
So we can't. It's not ideal to put on a metal roof because it's difficult to drill into metal. Clay roof is also difficult because the clay is brittle, so the solar, they won't be able to hold it. Concrete roof is good. Asphalt is good. Flat roofs we do. Yeah, it's just that if the roof tilt is too much, kind of like too steep, we might not do it because it's a little bit dangerous if it, might fall from the weight. But we pretty much do all roofs except metal. And then if it's clay, we have to put a racking system to make sure it supports, because clay is kind of not strong enough to support the weight of the solar panels.
So you've been in business for 10 years. Is the company privately owned?
We're a shareholder company. So we're kind of like State Farm. So company gives back shares to the people. It was started in 2014 by a woman, and then she passed and left the company to her son. His name's Jonathan Budd. And basically what they did is they made the company in a way kind of like State Farm, where it's almost like a mutual company.
Is it a franchise?
No.
All privately owned, each office?
Well, we don't have offices.
What do you have?
So we have a headquarters center in Carlsbad. We have a couple of headquarters centers in different states. We operate 100% virtually, and this is a big reason because most of these solar companies that go out of business, it's because they have too much overhead. They have all these offices for no reason. They're just, there's no reason to have an office like every day coming in. We have a headquarters center in Carlsbad. We have one in, I think, Marina Del Rey. We operate virtually. We're almost like, it's like we're a real estate company in a sense, right? We have the team in different states. We have the trainings. We have, CEOs and district managers and stuff like that. But we don't have any brick and mortar sort of offices.
So you have some licensed approved contractor?
I'm sorry?
You have some licensed approved contractor for the installation?
Yeah, so our labor partners that we work with, they're all local. They're all vetted by us, they're insured by us, they're bonded by us. So which means they do jobs for us and we sort of monitor that. And if they do a good job, they get more jobs. If they don't do a good job, we stop working with them. So one of the top installers we have is KW Construction. They're in Riverside, California. They do pretty much 90% of our California jobs. They have over 1,200 5-star reviews. You guys can look it up, KW, G-U-Y-O-U. They've been working with us for many, many years. So that's how it works. The more they work with us and they do great jobs, we give them more business. And they've basically been our labor partner for about 8 years. So, yeah, you can look it up if you like. They're KW, Riverside, California. Because we're a national company, so we also do Arizona, Texas, Florida, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, but I focus mainly on SoCal because that's where I live. So we use installers that we use frequently. They do jobs for us constantly, so we know their work. We insure their work. They're basically contracted with us, so they do pretty much all the jobs for us in California territory. Does that answer your question, Ken?
Yeah. What's the stock price?
I don't think we're public. I don't think we're public yet, but I've seen other people in our company say, "Hey, I just got the email. I just got the stock." But I think once it goes public, I don't know. He's like, "I want to buy some shares." Cool. Yeah. Any other questions in the meantime? I don't want to take too much of your time, but I want to answer as many questions as I can. If anything's on your mind, please.
But if the roof cannot have this panel, so you have any other ideas?
Yeah. So that is a good question. Not every roof qualifies, right? We do site inspection surveys. If we look at your roof and decide it's your roof is too old or it's too steep or it's not in great condition, you have the option of doing a ground mount, right? I have a client in Malibu who has like 20 acres of land. He's gonna do a ground mount because he just has all this dirt that's really not doing anything. It's just sitting there. So he's gonna put solar panels into the ground. So you could do a ground mount also if you don't want any panels on your roof or if the roof doesn't qualify. Assuming you have the land space, we can do ground mounts and it looks pretty sleek as well. So that's another option. So it's either roof or ground. Nobody's come up with anything else yet. I'll be surprised if they do. You put solar under the ground or something. I don't know. Or you could do both. You could do roof and ground. Depends on your needs and what you want.
So I'm trying to think. Okay, you either lease the panels or own them. So what is the advantage of one over the other?
Good question.
The lease is until you say 25 years.
It could be 10 years. It could be. It's up to you.
And then you pay $1.
Yeah. You could choose how many years you want the lease. So the pros and cons. If you do a lease, it's obviously a lower payment because the leasing company takes that 30% tax credit and applies it to the loan payment. So you already have a lower payment right off the bat. The company owns the system, so they own the panels. you don't qualify for the 30% tax benefit because it goes to the leasing company and they applied it to your payment, so you get a lower bill.
Also, you don't want, okay.
Yeah. So that's basically a lease in a nutshell. You know, and then after your lease term is over, you have the option if you want to keep it, you want to, you know, pay it off. If it's 25 years, the leasing company, the solar company might not even want them back because they're like, what are we gonna do with 20-year-old panels, right? So you could pay them like a couple of bucks and pay it off because legally they can't give it to you for free. So they'll say, give us $1, you can keep it. Now, if you do a buy, the 30% tax credit you get to keep for you. So you could talk to your CPA, talk to your tax guy, they can help you do that. Obviously, you own your system, so you're producing your own energy. You pretty much own the panels outright. And then you have no prepayment penalty on these purchase loans. So if you want to pay it off after year 2, year 5, totally up to you. It's like buying and leasing a car. It's the same concept, you know.
Okay. But then with the lease, you still get the correct, you know, all these benefits.
Yeah. You're still producing. You're still producing, but they just take the 30% and apply it to your loan. So it's already included in the payment. So you're not going to get another additional 30% tax credit from the federal side, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Cool. Great. I think we're almost done. I think that pretty much concludes my speech. Thanks for being here. You came. He's like, you missed everything. Of course.
Thanks for lunch. I know
course.
there's plenty of food up here for those that you just.
If anybody wants to reach, I forgot to talk about the most important thing. Oh my God, forgive me. I'm doing a special thing for all you lovely realtors. I know you have, you know, clients in the past. You have a database. Maybe you sold a house to somebody 10 years ago who's never moving out. They're like, I'm going to be carried out of here, feet first. I'm sitting on a 3% mortgage, right? So I want to give you all an opportunity to possibly monetize past clients that, you know, maybe you sold them a home and they're not doing anything probably for a very long time, right? So you can now reach out to clients, past, present, future, really anybody, neighbors, friends, family. You can now extend the opportunity and let them know that you have a solar energy partner or a solar division, and you could extend my services to them and introduce us with a 3-way text or maybe, you know, phone number contact. Basically, you're helping them save money on utility costs, increase the home value, and when you do that, for each successful install or referral, you get a $1,500 commission. That's something I'm doing special. You know, anybody that you recommend to me that signs up and gets installed, you get $1,500 commission. It's a win for you, it's a win for your client. Please keep that in mind. And my cell phone, please text me. Any questions you have at all, I'm always here. Phone call. You know, I'm not one of those guys who's like, hey, it's Sunday, don't bother me, I'm golfing. I'll take your call, I'm that guy. So anybody really, if you'd like to work with me or if you'd like some more information or if any questions I can answer for you, please don't hesitate to reach out, say hi. And I think that's it. Anybody have any other questions?
Well, do you have like an email that we can blast to our database?
Yeah,
Like
solarbydave@gmail.com. And then my number, that's my cell phone, 424.
Something that we can send our clients.
Oh, like a flyer, postcard, something like
Like,
a.
you know, and through email.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Like, I will email you.
Yeah. Send me an email or send me a text, and I'll go ahead and send you some more info and flyers and links and stuff like that. Text is the best way to communicate with me. My cell phone is always with me, so if you text me, I'll answer right away. If you call me, that's the easiest way. It's direct. You get me. I don't have any assistants. I don't have any robots. You know, you call me, you get me. So I hope everybody enjoyed my presentation. Thank you all so much for being here. I have another tape measure. There you go. Thank you, everybody.